You don't even have to start, on a social media platform, but maybe your neighbor's going through some struggles. How did you overcome? Maybe you see some things, in a child. I'll give you a good example. So, one of my children, I have four boys and one girl, and one of my one of my children, I mean, I just saw him. He was struggling to get along with his brothers. He was, it was just so much tension all the time. It just seemed like it was always like this hidden competition, and it was a lot of tension in the household, and he was just acting out. And I said to him, I said, you know what? When I was your age, I used to act the same way as you with my siblings or people around me your age because I didn't feel good about myself. The enemy would lie to me and tell me that I wasn't, worth anything. And he would have me comparing myself to other people. And I would struggle with jealousy and just different comparisons. And I say, you know what? Those things were lies, and the enemy was lying to me. So I didn't know at the time when I was acting out that the enemy was lying to me. And I said, I see that the enemy is doing the same thing to you.
Wow.
I see that the enemy is lying to you, making you feel like you're not worthy, like you're not good enough. And because he's lying to you, now you're acting out and doing all these different things. And I'm telling you, that one conversation, it shifted so many things. And he began to no longer act those ways anymore. You know what I mean? So sometimes we're keeping things to ourselves, but just look at those around us. Like, what do they need? And just pour from that place.
Amen. Amen. And just to add to that, is that a lot of times, and I believe this, wholeheartedly, because, even in my family, we tend to actually, learn from our, upbringing, and we learn to put things under the rug. Everything is like you have to hide everything. Don't tell aunt such and such slept with this one, and this you got a brother in the cousin. I mean, these are the things that happen. These are true things, and everything has to be put under the rug. But you know what that does? That allows the enemy to come in.
Yes.
Because when stuff are hidden, what he does is torment.
That's right.
He torments you and torment you because why? It's not out in the open. But you have to understand, confession is freedom.
Yes.
It
Yes.
sets you free.
Yes.
The Bible says the truth will what? Set you free.
Yes.
So a lot of times the enemy doesn't want you to confess. He doesn't want you to share with anybody because he wants to keep you in this place of bondage. He wants to keep you in this place of just, just like, oh yeah, I got this secret and nobody knows about it. You know what I'm saying? So he want to keep you in that place. And I want you guys to know that you don't have to hold that no more. It's people out there you can talk to, even if you gotta go to a therapist. But it's people out there you can talk to get it all out. Sometimes you gotta get it all out. So that's what you can start. Like Ivy said, like being prayerful, definitely, and asking God who to talk to. And sometimes it's good to talk to adults. You could share with them, and maybe they could share their experiences. Don't be afraid. Don't be fearful about that,
Right.
because it's going to be helpful.
And then just to piggyback off of that, something that you said, it gives me another um example. It brings me back to when I was growing up and I was a teenager and I was going through so much, not knowing who I was, not, believing lies that the enemy was telling me. And there was even particular situations, like specific situations that I didn't find out until later that my mom was going through the same thing when she was my age. As she grew in God, she began to open up and she began to share certain things with me. And I'm like, my goodness, had you told me at that time that you were going through the same thing, I wouldn't have felt like I was crazy. You know what I'm saying? I would have not felt like something was wrong with me.
Right.
Like I for a long time, I felt like something was wrong with me and I was the only one, and nobody else was struggling. Nobody else was going through what I was going through. But we have to go back. And a lot of time as believers, we get saved and we just go through our motions of being in the church and doing church, duties and things like that. But then we forget from where God has brought us from.
So good.
You know what I mean? But we have to go back and we have to get back on that level of where God delivered us from and speak to someone who's currently going through that same thing right now. Like, what is it that you needed when you were 12? what pouring did you need for someone to give to you at some of the most trying times in your life? What encouragement did you need? Go back to that place and pour from there for somebody else.